Hey there, welcome back. This week we're going to be talking about sales funnels and CRMs. Last week when we were comparing the difference between a triple line dialer and hand dialing, we were using funnels to compare the difference. This week we are going to be looking at funnels on a much larger scale, looking at different marketing campaigns and how each one of those funnels lead into a large funnel, which is our database. So for example, when we start running all these different marketing campaigns like cold calling and sending text messages and ringless voicemail, each one of these campaigns is going to have a different funnel, okay? But it's going to lead into our large database. So whether that be referrals coming in while you're doing cold calling, each one of those, you're gonna have different data measurements to track through each step of the process. So for example, last week when we were looking at our triple line dialers, we decided that we were going to be calling 20 hours a week, okay? Calling 150 phone numbers 20 hours a week meant that we were calling 3,000 numbers per week, okay? Which means that if we continue to do this, it's going to take us 2 weeks to contact all 6,000 of our leads, okay? So with that being said, we know that there's going to be some different data measurements in there. So if we're contacting 6,000 leads and we have a 10% contact ratio, then we're only getting in contact with 600 of them. Out of those 600 homeowners that we talk to, we know that 1 in 15 of them are going to meet all of our pre-qualification metrics, okay? So that means that we're going to have 40 pre-qualified leads out of our 6,000 leads. After we have these 40 pre-qualified leads, then they jump over into our main database, and then they continue to get funneled down through there and tracked by the amount of appointments that were set per pre-qualified lead, the amount of offers that were submitted, and the amount of contracts that we locked up to, of course, the amount of deals that were closed. So please keep in mind that this, as we're going through, this is just the cold calling funnel. Dependent upon your marketing campaign, your funnels are going to be different. So your data metrics are going to be different. For example, if you have an inbound marketing campaign, you want a higher call per contact ratio, okay? Because with an inbound marketing campaign, hopefully the homeowners that reach out to you are going to be more serious because your marketing was targeted to serious homeowners, not to people that were just looking to see what they could potentially get for their property, like just interested in seeing what a cash offer would look like, but people that are actually motivated and wanting to move, that need your services. Okay, so inbound marketing campaigns, they're going to be a little bit more expensive, as we learned last week, but they might yield higher KPIs. Inbound marketing campaigns are generally going to be a little bit less expensive, but might take longer and have smaller or lower data metrics. Okay, so for example, let's take a look at how we got to 6,000 leads needed to get 1 deal under contract. Let's reverse engineer our funnels just a little bit here, okay? If our goal is to have 1 deal closed and funded, we know that we're going to need to set 4 appointments. 4 appointments with sellers. Sellers that have been pre-qualified and meet all of our qualifications. Okay, so if we have 1 deal closed and funded, we have to account for a 50% fall through ratio with our end buyers, okay, with our investors. So that means that we need to get 2 deals under contract, 2 agreements signed with sellers, okay? So if we want 1 deal closed and funded and we need 2 people under contract, how many appointments do we need to go on? Well, if our goal is to have half of the appointments that we go on get locked up, then by those numbers, we would need to run 4 appointments with pre-qualified sellers, okay? So if we need 4 appointments with pre-qualified sellers, how many sellers do we need to talk to? How many pre-qualified sellers do we need to get those appointments set? Remember, the people that we're setting appointments with are going to want to sell within the next 90 days. They meet all of our qualifications with property condition, time, motivation, and price. Okay, so how many of these pre-qualified leads do we need? We need 40. Why do we need 40 pre-qualified leads? Because we know there's another conversion between pre-qualified leads and when we actually make the appointment and close the offer, okay? So out of our 40 pre-qualified leads, we're absolutely going to submit an offer on all 40 of those leads, okay? On all 40 of those leads. After we submit offers on all 40 of those leads, 10% of them are going to want to hear more, want to finish out the presentation and go ahead and get the deal locked up. After they get the offer, 10% of them are going to want to sell to us because of where our offer came in at. Okay, so if we need 40 pre-qualified leads, another reason is only 10% of them are going to meet our timeline to be able to close. Just because they meet our price doesn't mean that they meet our timeline. And if we're running a 90-day campaign with the hopes of locking up one deal, we need to account for not all of these leads being able to meet our timeline. Okay, so if we need 40 pre-qualified leads, how many leads do we need to contact? This is for cold calling. Again, please remember that this conversion ratio right here for cold calling is super low because it's an outbound marketing campaign. Again, for example, if you had an inbound marketing campaign like a website or pay-per-click, those inbound leads are typically going to be much more motivated because they went out of their way to contact you. So our conversion ratio for cold calling is 10%. We're going to contact 10% of the leads that we call. So if we need 40 pre-qualified leads, how many leads do we need to talk to? 600 people. We need to contact 600 people to get 40 pre-qualified leads, because we know that out of every 15 conversations we have, we're going to get one lead. So 600 divided by 15 gives us 40 pre-qualified leads. Okay, so if we have 600 leads that we've got in contact with for cold calling, how many leads do we need to call? How many numbers do we need to call? 6,000 phone numbers is how many we need to call. Okay, we need 6,000 phone numbers because we know that when we're calling, we're only going to get in contact with 10% of our leads. So 6,000 times 10% is 600. 600 people that we've gotten in contact with. So we've got 6,000 phone numbers. Well, for cold calling, if we really want to do the math right, we know that we have 3 phone numbers per lead. So 6,000 divided by 3 gives us 2,000. So you need 2,000 leads, 6,000 phone numbers, which means 2,000 leads is what you need for one deal. You need to call 6,000 phone numbers for this cold call campaign to get one closed and funded transaction. So remember here, everything is measured and tracked. Throughout this 90-day marketing campaign, remember that you can tweak certain areas of your campaign, of your system, of your business that need improvement. But please remember, do not change the constants that you're testing, okay? So if you're doing cold calling, don't jump into bandit signs. Or if you're doing bandit signs, don't jump into direct mail or any one of those things. Stay with your designated marketing campaign, but continue to track your calls per contact, your contact per qualified lead, your qualified lead per appointment, and your signed agreement per appointment, okay? And then how many of those deals get closed and funded? Let's look at how we can manipulate some of these KPIs, scale and better track each one of these metrics. Starting with our calls per contact. So this data metric is a great indicator if you have good data, okay? If you send it to a skip tracer and they send you back bad phone numbers, that's bad data. One of the easiest ways to test this is to get 2 different skip tracers, send them the same data, and potentially cold call both of those lists twice and see if you get different numbers, or run them against each other prior to doing that and make sure that the data kind of comes back the same. And then if you can't tell based off of the data, just analyzing it, then you can go ahead and cold call those numbers and really test it, find out how many people that you were able to get in contact with, and then compare them against each other. So that's one way to find out, is just the quality of your skip tracer. Another way to scale this calls per contact is changing your marketing campaign. So go to more of an inbound marketing campaign. Instead of doing so many outbound cold calling, SMS, direct mail, door knocking, any of those things, you can go ahead and do online marketing, get your website up, do some pay-per-click, or potentially do some radio ads, something like that. But again, you can scale to those. You don't have to start there, especially if you're starting from zero. Another important thing to remember about cold calling in general is that if you're cold calling, make sure that your number isn't marked as spam. So you can go ahead and Google your phone number, or have somebody call you, or call somebody in your family or some of your friends and see if your number pops up as spam on their phone. So our second measurement in cold calling is the number of pre-qualified leads that we get to the number of people that we contact, okay? And we generally want that conversion to be somewhere around every 15 contracts that we have one lead. Let's look how we can scale and measure that KPI just a little bit more. This metric is a good indication of if your list is good, okay? So if you're calling pre-foreclosure, tax delinquent, divorcee, and you're hearing a whole lot of no's, just like constant, no, we're not interested, da-da-da-da-da. You're the fifth person that's called us. Please don't call me back again. You're the fifth person I've talked to. You know, something along those lines. That's a good indicator that that list is chewed up, and you might want to pull different data metrics or move on to a different list. So that's one way to track if the list is going well for you. But a way to scale this KPI and this conversion is through a multi-line dialer. Last week, we learned that we could 5x our call ratio using a multi-line dialer compared to hand dialing. And then another way to do this is through outsourcing, through the use of a VA, and also just making sure that we're tracking our data metrics every single day. So our list is good. Out of every 15 conversations we're having, we're getting about one pre-qualified lead, okay? And those pre-qualified leads are people that meet our standards, that we create a win-win situation for both the seller, us, and the end buyer. We need to make sure that their property condition and their timeline to sell, motivation, and their price all add up so that we create a seamless transaction. We really do create a win-win situation. So the way that we can better this data metric right here are pre-qualified leads per appointment set, is walking them all the way through our script and making sure that they are completely qualified to be set up for an appointment. And the best way to do this is to submit a verbal offer over the phone before you go out to the property. Please make sure that even if you don't give a set offer, you at the very least give an offer range so that the seller knows where you would be at. So when you go to the appointment, you can lock down the seller to an offer, finalize your verbal offer amount, and lock it up right then and there, okay? So please make sure that you're submitting verbal offers over the phone, that they meet your criteria. And then another way to better this KPI is through the use of CRMs and drip campaigns, okay? So you'll notice in the diagram here that when we are cold calling a new lead, they're going to generally fall in 3 different categories. So the first category is no answer, not interested, and interested, okay? So if they're not interested, then we're going to go ahead and either follow up with them if potentially we think that we can get them hooked in the future, send them a quick follow-up text, potentially set them on a drip campaign, or we can go ahead and move them direct to dead lead because they cursed us out, wanted to be removed, or have already sold, just some of those reasons, okay? So we can move them directly into dead lead. But then you've got 2 other options. We've got no answer and interested. For the people that didn't answer, we don't want to just drop the ball on these leads. We don't want to just leave these leads hanging. So what we do is we can put them in our CRM system and set drip campaigns to automatically follow up with them. So for instance, if we ran a cold calling marketing campaign, well, maybe our second campaign is sending text message and then sending email and then sending our ringless voicemail. And then after each one of these different funnels that take place, if then we've sent direct mail, we've done all these things, and we still can't get in contact with the leads, well, hell, maybe your last marketing campaign is door knocking, and that's when you finally go out because, man, you've contacted this lead and you know it's a hot lead and you just really want it, and you can track it down and either find out the seller's or homeowner's home address, or if they live there, just making sure that you go to the place that the homeowner is actually living, okay? And then after all that, it's just still not working, then it becomes a dead lead. But then you've got another main funnel here. We've got the people that are interested. So we've got the people that have ran through the first cold call, if you will, and then now potentially we're following up for the appointment or to set the appointment, because you know, sometimes it takes a few times to get an appointment set with these sellers. Sometimes it's not the first try. You might have to follow up 2 or 3 times, 5 or 6 times before you actually get an appointment set. That's why a CRM system comes in so handy to be able to let you know when to follow up with these leads, okay? So you've got people that are interested, that you've cold called them, and now you're just trying to get them to the appointment. Get them either on the phone or in front of them so that you can do your presentation and all that jazz. And now I'm getting ahead of myself. But yes, this is how you're able to scale the number of appointments that you have per pre-qualified leads, is making sure that they're really pre-qualified and that they're set up in your CRM on follow-up and drip campaigns. Okay, so you've pre-qualified the leads and now it's time for the appointment. This can either be on the phone, via Zoom, via Google Hangouts Meet, or in person. I highly recommend in person, especially when we're first starting out. Because remember, for each presentation that we give, we want to walk away from half of those appointments with signed agreements. And it's much easier to get those signed agreements, especially starting out, in person, because it's a lot easier to handle objections. Over the phone, it's super easy for sellers to be frustrated or just hang up in your face. When you're in person with them, it's a lot harder for them to either be rude or just, it's harder for them to say no, and it's easier for you to handle those objections and or re-explain yourself in the situation. So we definitely want to make sure that starting off, we're setting in-person appointments and we're locking up 50% of those appointments. So it all comes down to our presentation when we get there. Okay, how can we scale this? We can scale this through rapport. Rapport is such a huge thing for a lot of our sellers, because you'll find a lot of our sellers are going to have more risk adverse qualities. They're going to be a little bit more personable. You're going to have to open up with them and be engaging and be relatable and give them some sort of revealing information about you to show that you are also a person. And you're going to have to do this in a quick amount of time via your first cold call. And again, when you get to the appointment and when you're going through the presentation. So next week, we're going to be diving deeper into presentations and setting appointments with sellers and how to go through that whole process, how to prep for them, all of that. So stay tuned for next week. All right, so we've got our seller under contract. We are starting to market the property and we're assigning it to a cash buyer. Here, we want to account for a 50% fall through rate with our end buyers, whether that be we didn't buy the deal right or we just chose the wrong bid. We want to make sure we chose the wrong bid or there's potentially a cloud on title. We're accounting for 50% fall through ratio. How can we better improve this conversion? 50%, I mean, that's kind of crazy. I mean, hopefully the deals that we're locking up, we don't have that big of a fall through rate because we're able to purchase them properly, because we're analyzing deals like an investor, like looking at all of our exit strategies and continuing to grow our knowledge base so that when we do potentially lock up a deal for too high of a price, maybe we can reanalyze our exit strategies and see if that marketed fix and flip would better suit a buy and hold investor instead, okay? And with that, we want to make sure that we've got our investor pool built up. We want to have a big database of cash buyers with all different kinds of exit strategies, ranging from buy boxes and criterias from buy and hold investor that's looking for a $100,000 property and less to a fix and flip investor that's okay with buying up a multi-million-dollar property. You know, you want to have a big range. You also want to have people that are buying one deal a year and people that are buying 1,000 deals a year plus. Okay, because you want to make sure that you can maximize your wholesale fee. At the minimum, we want to make sure that we are grossing $10,000 on our assignment fees, on our wholesale fees, whether that be assignments or double closes. And we can better do this by making sure that we have a large pool of cash buyers so that if a deal falls through, if something happens, we have backup buyers to go to. And so that at the beginning, when we get a new deal under contract and we have a showing, there's multiple people that show up to our showing, increasing our bids, and of course, increasing our chances of selling above asking price or increasing our wholesale fee. So again, tiny typo here, it would be 2,000 leads for one wholesale deal. 2,000 leads times 3 phone numbers per lead leads us with 6,000 phone numbers to call for a cold call marketing campaign. So if we're calling 6,000 phone numbers, we're getting in contact with 600 of those. Out of those 600 sellers that we get in contact, 40 of them are pre-qualified and meet our standards. Because remember, our job is not to convince sellers to sell. Our job is to help sellers that are motivated, in need of help and assistance to sell their property. Okay? You are the best person for them because you're able to find them the best exit strategy for the fastest and cheapest price. They don't have to pay any realtor commissions, closing costs, survey fees, anything by working with you. So out of those 40 pre-qualified leads, we know that we can get 4 appointments set. Out of those 4 appointments that we have set, our goal is to walk away with half of them under contract. Okay, so if we're walking away with half of them under contract, we are able to walk away with 1 deal. Okay, we're walking away with 1 wholesale deal. Holy moly, that is so much data to track. How are we going to track all this, especially as we start adding in things like direct mail, cold calling, website, SEO marketing, and Facebook ads? Like, how are we going to track all of this? I would highly recommend to use a CRM system. What in the world is a CRM system? A CRM system is a customer relationship management system or a client relationship management system. It's a technology to help business owners manage interactions with customers or potential clients. It's a technology that helps organizations build customer relationships, improve sales, improve customer service, and increase sales and profitability. Okay, so CRM systems are an amazing thing. Now, I want to give you a couple different examples of some CRM systems. So our first CRM system is Simply, and it's first because that's a CRM system that we use. This system is perfect for the wholesaler that wants to fix and flip properties and also buy and hold. This system gives you the capabilities of growing with your inbound leads, to grow with your acquisitions. It also gives you the capabilities to connect your bank account and filter transactions to specific deals and to specific campaigns to better help you and your CPA at the end of the year. Okay, so Simply is an amazing system to scale your business. The second system is Google Data Studio, and this is a free system. This is something that you can connect your Google Excel sheets to create different funnels, to create different data charts to better help you track your data and to put them into a more tangible and easy view so that it just helps you throughout your campaign. Another CRM is Deal Machine, or a CRM like Deal Machine. This is going to be best used for if your marketing campaign is driving for dollars. Simply also has a driving for dollars function within the system, but it is expensive. So if you're just doing driving for dollars, I would highly recommend looking into a system that's more along the lines of Deal Machine that is around $50 a month. Okay, so your fourth CRM system is something like Smarter Contact, and this is something that I would use if you were doing text messaging campaigns or something along the lines of this. Again, compare and contrast. I'm not saying you should use any of these systems, just giving you some ideas. Okay, Yellow Letters is something that I would use for direct mail, if not using Simply. PropStream is great for list pulling, also running comps. This is something that we actually do use to run comps outside of Texas. Some of the members of our team, including myself, are licensed realtors, so we had access to the MLS throughout Texas. But for out-of-state deals or out-of-state investing, we do use PropStream. Zoho is an awesome CRM for wholesaling, for real estate investing. It's something that I've used in the past. It's pretty similar to like a HubSpot or something along those lines. Carrot is something that investors use for scaling and growing their online websites and online campaigns. I would recommend comparing Carrot pricing to another website or another platform or service similar before diving deeper. And then Flipster is a CRM system that was created by a popular YouTuber and real estate investor. And it's just another system that you could potentially look into. So I hope this was helpful. Remember that this is a 3-month marketing campaign. This is a 90-day marketing campaign. 6 months is about 180 days. If you do 2 marketing campaigns, 2 90-day marketing campaigns, that gives you 180 days. 6 months. There's a very popular quote that says it takes 6 months to master a new skill. So if you do 2 90-day marketing campaigns, by the end of your second marketing campaign, leading into your third, you should have all of the skills and all of your data metrics kicking off into your third marketing campaign to give you those KPIs and measurements that you're looking for. So if something wasn't going right in your first campaign or even your second campaign, continue to do it. Do it 2 times at the minimum, but really do it 3 before you move on, before you change it up, before you switch, okay? I say that because when you're trialing and erroring an experiment, you at the minimum want to have 3 experiments. You have A and B, okay? You have test A and you have test B, and you compare them against each other. And then you have test C, and you confirm your results of that test, okay? And you can tweak and change some of those tiny variables in there along the way, not so much like a science experiment. We're not trying to make sure that we keep everything scientific and straight on the point. No, it's science and an art. We want to make sure that we're moving and flowing and ebbing and flowing with our business and what's going on, especially with our industry, okay? So again, always remember that Rome wasn't built overnight, and neither is your business. This is a 90-day marketing campaign kicking off. You've probably never done this before, and if you had, you might be looking at this from a different light, or potentially just re-angling your perspective on marketing campaigns in general. So give yourself some time, do the 90-day campaign, and don't judge your data, don't judge your results until the end of the 90 days. And then do it again and compare. Do it again and finalize and tweak, and then do it again and just continue, okay? Because there's 4 quarters in a year, so there's 4 opportunities to launch a new marketing campaign. And if you miss an opportunity, then start over. You can always start over. This is a fluid business. It ebbs and flows. It's okay if you have to take a step back and change something and reanalyze. So let's go out here and do it. Let's track and grow with our business. We're going to continue to generate leads through our marketing campaign and analyze those leads as they come in, or run our ARV, calculate and estimate our rehabs, submit our offers, whether that be in person or over the phone. And after those offers are submitted, locking up that final appointment to get the agreement signed, continuing to build rapport and showing sellers why you offer value, learning skills as we're going, and eventually closing the deal and getting that check, bringing home that check. Again, we're always aiming for a $10,000 assignment fee at the minimum, okay? At the same time, we do want to make sure that it is a win-win-win situation for all parties involved. We want to create raving customers, clients, and fans, okay? And get those testimonials to get new referrals, to continue this process over and over again and continue to build our database. Because if you don't have leads, if you're not doing lead generation, you're not closing deals. So this week in our brainstorm, we're going to be looking at what you want the next 3 years of your life to look like. Who is that woman in your head? Who does she show up as? What actions does she take on a daily basis? What does she look like? And then you're going to think about ways that you can already be her, how you can implement little actions into your life to change your perspective and show up as her every single day. Even if it's not perfect, you're never going to be her if you don't try. And I know that's such a weird thing to do and say, but you have the power of becoming her. If you didn't have that vision in your head telling yourself that I can do this, I can have all of these goals, I can achieve all of these goals, you have to show up as her. But you have to start by implementing tiny tasks today to better be her, okay? So really get a good image of what she looks like in your head, and then we're going to implement one action item that you can do every single day to continue your progression in your business towards being her, towards having everything that you desire. You know, this isn't just a business that you're building for getting leads and getting deals. No, this is something that you're growing to build wealth and to build a new asset, right? Because the goal isn't just to stop with wholesaling, right? You're wholesaling to build that quick capital. You're wholesaling to get leads under contract, to be able to manipulate deals, to decide if you want to fix and flip, whether you want to hold them, or if it would just be quicker to wholesale it to another investor and find yourself another deal, because you have the know-how and the access to be able to do it. And so we're going to implement one action item into our daily life for the next 90 days, and we're going to pick a system to be able to track this action item, whether that be Google Data or an advanced CRM. Or potentially you can get some free trials with CRMs and try a couple out if that's what you prefer. But I would recommend that you do some research into your CRMs and make sure that you're using the right CRM for your particular marketing campaign, and that you just continue to grow and track it every day. Please remember that what doesn't get tracked doesn't grow. That can be anything from your personal life to your business expenses to your credit score. Something that I would also like to mention here, and that's that the thoughts that pop into your brain are not fact. You can reframe those thoughts And instead of making a decision that something's a failure, what if we could reframe that thought and say, oh, this was a lesson and this is what I've learned from it? Remember, failure is just something that you have decided about an action that you've taken. So what if you could reprogram your thoughts while you're going through this process and this marketing campaign? Oh, look, this isn't working. I'm failing at this, to this is a 90-day experiment. And I'm tracking my data and analyzing my results, and I won't judge my results until the completion of this 90-day experiment. Okay? And then once you find out your data results and you are able to completely analyze your full 90-day marketing campaign, again, look at it from a non-judgmental and a non-drama point of view, if you will. Take the drama out of the numbers. It's just numbers. And look at your data, but really sit down with it. And you can't get mad if you didn't hit your numbers. You can't get mad again if you said, oh, I wanted to have one deal done by the end of this 90 days, but you didn't do the work and you didn't track your numbers and you didn't continue to progress and you just gave up instead. How awful would that be? This industry that you're getting into is not for the faint of heart. And if you're in it for just the money, it might not be the best industry for you. But if you're willing to persevere and push through and analyze your data and keep up with your business and run this as a business, I promise you, you're going to be just fine. You're going to be just fine. And you're going to attract the sellers and the investors that you want to work with. You're going to attract more people by continuing to align with you in the mission and purpose of your business. You're going to attract your people. So that's it. Let's go make our plan. Talk to you soon.